In answer to your question, I mean, the judiciary, I think, is not as sound as it used to be. I think we have got a two-tier judiciary in the same way we've got a two-tier police force, we've got a two-tier virtually everything. All of it, a lot of it based on, as you say, the poison of DEI, which has been leaked into the blood of Britain over quite a long period of time now. So, I mean, we have got a situation, and it happens throughout history, where lawyers become too important within our society. And I think we've got there now. So arguably they need to be taken down a peg or two. Tony Blair, obviously, and his Supreme Court creation, I think has played a big part in it. But also the people, as you say, who are now sitting as judges. And for me, the biggest sort of, if you like, red flashing light was when Baroness Hale and her colleagues unanimously decided that proroguing Parliament was illegal. Now, I could have understood it if it was a sort of split decision, but the fact that it was unanimous made me think, well, this is something to start worrying about. And I think we do need to start worrying about it, because I think the sort of the courts have been undermined. I think we've now got lawfare on a scale that is quite dangerous. You've got far too many laws. You've got the ability to subjectively use lawfare where you don't like what somebody's saying or what somebody's doing. And I don't argue, I don't understand why our establishment is so keen to protect Islam. I mean, it's one of many religions, and I don't think any religion should be singled out for any special treatment. If you have a society that believes in free speech and that does poke fun at things and does challenge things and does debate whether something's right or wrong, there should be no exceptions. It should be for every religion, every faith, every politician, every public servant, whoever. They should all be, and they should all face the same challenge from a society which ultimately is seeking the truth. And you don't get at the truth by suppressing free speech. You don't get at the truth by bullying people into silence. I think we've seen that throughout history.
Well, you've had to do a private inquiry, of course.
The overriding issue for us all that we've got to solve collectively by 2029, we have to win this next general election on a first-past-the-post basis. And we have to then be ruthless about how we repeal and then pass legislation which is going to empower the individual and drive the economy and take statism out of our lives. You can't totally remove statism because the state does have a role, but it has to be a responsible state that's not a self-serving state, that isn't, if you like, overmanned by petty bureaucrats who are effectively feathering their own nests at the expense of the taxpayer. I watch really in horror. I don't understand the genesis of this establishment sort of two-tier approach. And I think a lot of the problems that we're encountering on our, if you like, our rape gang inquiry stem from a fear of the establishment in particular, but other people within public service fearing being branded as a racist. Now, that inquiry should be about right and wrong. It shouldn't be about whether somebody's racist or not racist. So I think if you focus on what's right and what's wrong, all of us are better off if the judiciary, the police, and the organs of the state are completely impartial in the way in which they deal with it. It shouldn't be different. I mean, you shouldn't be treated differently if you're running a white rape gang to if you're running an Islamic or Muslim rape gang. The evil is the perpetration of rape upon underage young girls. They are the part of society that needs to be protected. But as you know, the Muslim bloc vote was a big part of Labour's success. Personally, I, as you probably know, I would change the way in which postal voting operates. I think it needs to be radically overhauled. Most people are fit enough to get to a polling booth, and I believe it is one man or woman, one vote. Obviously, there are exceptions to that. In the forces, maybe somebody's terminally ill or can't get to the polling booth, but the exceptions should be a very small number of people. Other than that, if you want to participate in an election, you should turn up to a polling booth, and there are plenty of them. So that way we get rid of all this block voting distortion. So going back to your question, I think it's a very interesting question. I mean, I am a great proponent of Charles Darwin, so I love a bit of Darwinianism, and I think the whole essence of the way in which man has progressed is based on the Darwinian theory of survival of the fittest. The problem we've got now is that we live in what I call post-Darwinian world, and I think people like Hermer and Starmer, if you like, are the antithesis of the survival of the fittest. So what they're trying to do is actually weaken the overall structures that have created the kind of advancement that man has achieved over a very long period of time, which has been based on largely, I mean, whether they like it or not, it's been based on a medical Darwinianism, because those people with a weaker constitution previously died. So that there was this thinning out, this natural process. So you ended up with not only people who were arguably probably fitter, stronger, healthier, more energetic, they lived longer. They were the ones who basically procreated more, and you actually got a much more healthy structure within society. Now, that doesn't mean to say, and I think Victorian Britain probably was the best embodiment of this, where you actually had, I think, a society that was based pretty much on Darwinian theory, but it did, because man is not an animal, he can have the safety valves that you need to protect those people who are unfortunate enough not to be able to compete within this raw Darwinian society.
Philanthropy and charity.
Correct. Well, you had the friendly societies, and you had other private sector mechanisms which actually were safety networks. Which again, if the Darwinian theory works and you create the wealth, and a lot of the wealth that we've got today, still we should be thanking the Victorians for. And I think a lot of the welfare state, for instance, is not affordable unless you have a vibrant economy. And this is going to be a big issue for us going down the line, because I don't think we've got a vibrant economy anymore. Well, look, I think the first thing I've got to do now, Connor, obviously, is find a way of creating some form of political movement or party which is going to give the British people an opportunity to vote for something that's going to change the way they're governed by 2029. I seriously think, from where I sit and what I've learned in the last year, I've nearly been in Parliament a year. Can you believe it? I mean, I think it's shot by. I can't quite believe it, but it's a year. But having been politically, or attempted to be politically, assassinated by my colleagues within Reform, I'm now an independent. I'm still busy. I've been busy, as you know, in Parliament, trying to change that Overton window and start to speak the truth, which I think is not common in Parliament. I don't think there are many MPs who speak the truth as they see it.
For which you have our gratitude.
But what I've got to try and do, in order to finish off the reason I got involved in this at quite an advanced age, is I've got to try and find a solution with my team. And by the way, I'm surrounded by some great people. I've got a great team around me, so I'm eternally grateful for that. It's not just me. I've got the support that helps us to collectively be effective, which is the way it should be. So we've got to find a solution that I think gives the British people an opportunity to show, and this is the electorate, what I call real England, really, and real Britain, because that to me, the Act of Union, very important. As you probably know, I'm in favour of reversing Tony Blair's vile devolution, which I think was designed to break up the proudest sovereign nation in Europe, which it was quite effective at doing at the time. And, quite frankly, the money that gets wasted through the Barnett formula in the Scottish Parliament is shocking, and in Wales, in the Senedd, same. And I don't really see why the honest tax-paying people in Middle England should be funding all this nonsense. So we really need one Parliament, and we need to be governed as, if you like, the Act of Union envisaged, as one country, which is what we are legally. So all of this sideshow needs to be changed, but I think we've got to find a way of appealing to the bedrock within the country. Because I actually think if I can't achieve that by 2029, or a group of us can't achieve it by 2029, I think Britain's going to be almost beyond redemption. I can see there are so many malign forces that have undermined our institutions, that have undermined our parliament, that have basically undermined our, if you like, reputation as being logical, decent, common sense, fair-minded people. And that, if you like, was a prerequisite in a way of forcing us to join this post-war, centrally planned socialist project, which the European Union was and is. And it's been, it hasn't been easy to reverse that process. Every time they have a setback, they regroup and keep coming again. So they don't accept no for an answer. They're pretty determined to achieve what they want to achieve. So I've got to appeal to those people who want their country back. The only way they're going to get their country back is to elect somebody, I think, from outside the existing political establishment, which is what myself and my ex-Reform colleagues were. And winning the election is only half the equation. It's all very well to win it, and this goes to your question. But again, the two-tier policing we saw of the pro-Palestine marches in London, it's just palpably obvious to everybody that that's what's happening. And I think increasingly that's why the British people are becoming frustrated with the way in which we're being governed, and that's why they want change. So it's not as if it's hidden, Conor. I think it's becoming, it sticks out like a sore thumb.